Hello, everyone. Varelian here, Flo out of Portland, and hope everyone's 2026 is flowing. Truly, it is a very odd year with at least the climate. I mean, I've always considered rain as I've tried to reframe it as liquid sunshine, and it's helped me get through the years, get through the cold, and wade into the water or wade into the storm in a way when you got to do what you got to do. And with so many good things on the horizon, um, I really just want to make sure that, like, I just wrote in my journal, gave myself the ability, some space to get the gratitudes flowing, and for all the things that are coming down the pipeline and everything that's to come in the future, for everything that's happened in the past, as I feel like given this permission almost to, where I and this idea of Flowasis have like met at the perfect time. I don't even wish that I like thought of Flowasis any sooner than exactly when it came. And I mean, this is some hippy dippy shit, but like the true okayness, for lack of better words, is like created a really solid vibe around what I feel like we're doing, how we're doing it, what we're doing to do it right the way we think it should be done. It's not to say that we've perfected anything. Again, like how we like to flow is in the constant pursuit of perfection. It's an ever moving goalpost. But now, what's the point of this goddamn video, right? So, get back on track here. Part of that gratitude comes from returning from a layover in Korea and step out of the airport. I'm like, oh, shit, it's a little cold out here. Snow's on the ground, right? And I'm thinking, like, where's Korea on the latitude of Oregon? And it's, I thought Korea was like way south compared to Oregon. I don't know. Maybe we look on a map, but Korea was chilly. Like in the day, probably the 30s, people wearing gloves and jackets. Um, Thank goodness I brought like a cheap puffer to like try to get through it. But 12 hours, and got to kind of venture around Seoul, and that chilliness and the population shock of that city made me grateful to come back. And Portland was like, people are in t-shirts. It's like super mild. And so, amongst other things too, but the point of this video was that I feel like, wouldn't it be a semi-entertaining video to have a frequently asked questions series where, from my own perspective, I could walk through what AI seems to think are some of the more important questions, and how I can compare and contrast the residential versus commercial side of those things. My brain's not going to be able to separate residential and commercial black and white, but hopefully question by question. And then because I'm so high tech with my video editing, I'll see if I can't clip these into shorter pieces when time allows. And so they are relating to roofs. They're very boring. This is, I feel like, maybe useful for someone who likes to listen to things in the background. And who knows, like maybe we can turn it into some sort of like Reddit thread or something. But how do I know if my roof needs to be repaired or if I need a full replacement? In the FAQs, frequently asked questions, is probably the biggest reason why anyone calls in. And there's a this isn't necessarily diving into the question just yet, but in the industry, from what I've heard, this is a lot of what people are trying to like sell out there to roofing companies to use as a tool. Is everyone knows it's like an AI assistant. It's like it's a person, as a receptionist who sounds real, right? But they're obviously an AI fake. Granted, they would hopefully be nearly 100% on listening to your request. They will never truly empathize with the situation you're in or understand exactly how you're feeling, because they won't be able to tell the tonalities yet, or at least for I think a while, of the emotions of what you are concerned with as a priority over the phone. So you catch in on these verbal body language cues over the phone that like allow you to understand a conversation in a way that I don't think AI will ever touch, because humanity's got a sympathetic nervous system, which is not to be confused with anything along the parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous system. What I'm trying to say is like sympathy in the nervous system. So, anywho, how do I know if my roof needs to be repaired or replaced? Most common question we get, generally, as a preserve and protect company, we literally wrap our trucks with repair, maintain, restore before we have the conversation about replacement. Some of our best relationships with clients have come from providing expertise and strong opinions around what can be done to create a better ROI or a longer lasting system for what you've already have on your building, whether that's your home or your business or a warehouse if you're a facility guy or a property manager, etc. And so with that, I would say probably 7 out of 10 calls we get are to take a look at what we can do to try to avoid replacement. So, but how do you know if your roof needs repair or a full replacement? I would say almost anything in this world can be fixed. And that kind of mindset, I kind of cultivated from the laboratories at Oregon State, where I had an old professor tell me like, okay, come in his like room. It wasn't like creepy or anything. He's like, dude, check out all this equipment. And it was all full of like this old 80s shit with like wires and like the old analog connectors and everything, like nothing really digital other than like green screen lines, kind of like a heart tracker kind of deal. And he's like, let's go try to run some experiments. And so the point of this was to try to get out information, data points from what we're trying to accomplish was reading the axon measurements at the nanoelectrical level around outputs from stimuli that we were inputting. And with that, had to literally build what's called a Faraday cage. A lot of you guys would recognize it as like a microwave. And a Faraday cage is an electronically silent box that doesn't allow any interference to come in. Obviously, sound waves can affect it still, but in order to get out the inputs at the neuron level, you have to have a pretty still environment. And I don't know what the hell I was doing. I could run a tape measure and make some cuts in this, from woodshop back in middle school. And he was like, take this equipment, see what you can do. And I didn't know what it was. He's like, you're going to need one of these, one of these, one of these, one of these. Use these in this order, connect them and see what you get when you build your Faraday cage. And had let me also step into Dr. Patrick Chappell, actually at the veterinary hospital at Oregon State. Dr. Patrick Chappell, who gave me the opportunity to figure out if this was like the right path, had really cultivated an environment that allowed intrinsic interest, really nice space to hopefully not make mistakes. There was no laboratory. I screwed up a really expensive sample, and the professor was like, you idiot. And of course, I apologized and everything, but then Patrick found me, and then what I was trying to do for Patrick was take these neurons that we were growing and grow a neuron in ACSF, which is like an artificial cerebral spinal fluid, and try to wash it with hormones in a way that would allow us to study the circadian clock. And the circadian clock, everyone should know, is what is tied to sunrise and sunlight and everything. And you can listen to Andrew Huberman, Dr. Andrew Huberman, and Dr. Rhonda Patrick about what they think, and they are the true professionals when it comes to circadian rhythm. I'm not going to try to pretend I know shit, and they can teach you about all the different hormonal balances and everything. I was just really in awe, and I was attracted to Patrick because the dude's capacity for biomechanical recollection, the dude was just brilliant. And what's crazy is, though, he was like a two pot of coffee kind of guy and 2-pack of cigarettes kind of professor. I was just like, the hell's going on here? And anyway, something was lighting his fire, and he was actually trying to reverse engineer the female contraceptive to try to get an award through what I think was at the time a grant tied to a dog grant to create a male contraceptive through the clock protein biomechanical pathways to try and see if he could maybe like turn off sperm or something. I don't know what he was trying to do in general, but I was stuck there just trying not to mess up his samples. I remember there was one night they trusted me that was crazy. They trusted me to go in. It was only like 8 or 9 o'clock, but I thought it was kind of late at the time. I go in, I walk in, I'm like, okay, everyone else had done the protocol at the time to input what they had needed at the time they were scheduled to put the samples in this batch of neurons to get the outputs necessary. Maybe they've been too nice. Maybe they were actually like way too nice and I fucked up and they never said anything. But I went in as they trained me to go and pipette the solution over the neurons in a way that was going to allow for a 24-hour output of what these neurons, which were pulled from the female mouse model, to look at endocrine hormones, specifically estrogen, to, I think, try and understand what the fluctuation was. And I think it worked at one point, because I think maybe, I don't remember the timeline, but like later on he had come to me and said, hey, look what we got here, some data points. And if he didn't say I fucked it up, then I feel like maybe I did okay. So I only got about a year and a half there with him when I was rowing, and then I had to graduate and life and things happened. And so you just kind of have to continue to grow. But that laboratory setting was cool in the way that, like, oh shoot, we're working with some high-end stuff, but it wasn't necessarily the environment or the Flowasis that I thought that was going to nurture to my fullest potential and or be anything that I would be at the top of my industry with. And I was not nearly thinking or forecasting like, oh, it could be here in 5 or 10 years or anything. And that's a way too tangential story, but we're going to get back on these questions, I promise. The point of that story, though, ties back into Flowasis and being a product of your environment. And with that, understanding and being willing to not be the best at something and starting over and over has been the theme since graduating, becoming a raft guide, traveling a little bit, doing pizza, getting into food, doing the food thing, doing the food business, and then getting into construction and rebranding and all the different things that happened through a pandemic. So back to roofing. I think these questions are valuable for folks who are considering a fairly expensive purchase, which should be framed, in my mind, as an investment. And a lot of people go roll their eyes and be like, oh yeah, biased roofer would tell me, of course I'm investing back in my property, but it doesn't make sense. I've never heard a real estate agent who uses a roofing quote as leverage to a seller or buyer situation that allows people to save money because the roof needs to be done, which means that your property is more worthwhile with a good roof and a warranted roof than if it has repairs or replacement needs. Okay. And so when is a replacement necessary over a repair? The quick and dirty on steep slope shingles is that when a shingle has its seal tabs broken, and this is the roof going down here, when the seal tabs are broken, It doesn't take virtually any effort. You don't need a pry bar or tool or anything. You take your finger and it literally just lifts up willy-nilly. And it's easier on 3-tab because it's a cheap product versus architectural or presidential. But the point is that at full replacement, just because you might have some granule loss or some fiberglass showing doesn't necessarily mean that you have to replace. It's getting close, but it doesn't mean you have to. If you don't have any leaks and your exposed fasteners are covered and sealed, or your any hip and ridge product at that point is not cracked, then you're going to be fine. And so but you need to be getting prepared. You see excessive fiberglass and granules showing, or they're rolling into your gutters, or you can look up there and you see the shine or the reflection on the sky, and you're like, okay, well, that doesn't look good. Probably should get someone to at least give you an opinion, get 3 to 5 in my opinion as well. But just because a roof is showing fiberglass, now fiberglass at the tips is the beginning. Fiberglass in the key tooth of the shingle itself, the body is a lot more worn. You're probably going to see less than 50% granule adhesion at that point. That is getting way more worn than at any other point in that shingle's lifespan. And typically when you see it in the field of the shingle, you're going to have the ability to lift it up, and that seal is going to be broken, which means that the roof is not cured, which means that wind can blow in rain, and that could be the beginning of the end, which is just more susceptible to leaks. So just because the seal's broken, you may not know that you need a roof because the roof has been built. If it's been installed correctly with good workmanship, it's still going to shed water properly, okay? And with that, you go in your own mind, as a property owner, you're like, I don't have any leaks. Why do I need a roof, okay? I don't want to buy a roof. I got college coming up. Groceries are expensive, all this other shit. Why do I got to deal with this goddamn roof? I don't even see it, but it's an asset for your asset, okay? Deal with investors a lot, and these guys and women think about their property as a tool, right, for growth. And with that, the point of what they're trying to accomplish is to maximize returns. You're a homeowner, you're the same thing. You want to maximize your savings, okay? So we'll talk about more about how to maximize your ROI, I think, in future questions here. But if your roof is not leaking, you stand a chance for repairs on the assumption that the roof is cured. Okay, so where flow standards are on what's a warrantable repair is the shingle cured? Okay. And we'll go through what metal and membrane are for each of these questions too, which adds to the complexity, and this video could go a little longer, so I do apologize. But I want to give you guys the FAQs. I've been thinking about this for the whole time I was gone. I want to make sure that we can cover a lot of this as if I was sitting down with you in the living room and trying to educate you if you wanted to spend an hour or two talking about roofs, okay? Could we have this conversation on your front porch? You would be like, well, it's cold, I want to get back to my coffee, like, I don't really like you, I don't know you, I don't care, you gotta check, anyway, this is the opportunity for you to say, well, shit, what if Flo think about this, right? So we'll talk more in depth as we continue to flow, but shingle repairability, I believe, in order for us to warrant it, we need to make sure there's only one layer. So Northeast, Southeast Portland, parts of Vancouver, oftentimes have multiple layers on older roofs. Newer roofs, you're typically going to have one layer. Any roof that's or a home built after 1990 is a loose date, typically only has one layer, just due to the likelihood that house is typically located in a development. There are obviously single house properties out there floating around that recently developed, but you ask the age of the house, it tells us roofers, okay, how likely is it that it's the first time this roof has ever been replaced, and how likely is it to already have plywood? And then you go confirm it by actually looking in the attic space, and then you go from there. So to continue on with this, the repairability or the full replacement of shingles was as previously stated. So the repairability or replacement requirements of metal, and I don't claim to be like the metal god of the industry, but from what I understand, the repairability of metal is going to be due to the style of the panel itself. So in commercial, you may see metal on more low slope application, and in some instances, you'll see what's called a mechanically locked system. And so a mechanically locked system typically requires a crimper or a robot to go through and mechanically seam the ridges. And more often than not, in the MS200 space, you'll see that that's about a 2-inch ridge, okay, versus the homeowners 1-inch snap lock. So it's a taller ridge, okay? And at that point, you have less options, and let's just get that system out of the way for repairability, because the system is so tight, there's no removing individual panels. It's a permanent system. You cannot unlock the system without ripping the thing apart. Now, if you have a metal system with like MS150, MS100 that has something that is just a snap lock, like you snap the panel over the other side, the screws are hidden underneath, and or if it's an exposed fastened corrugated 36-inch wide panel, then you have the ability to isolate the issue or reflash the penetration by taking the panels off with less of a likelihood that you're going to damage the system. We still like to do whole side repairs on metal because it allows us to warranty the whole different part of the system, like from valley to valley or rake to rake. And that can be because the panels, typically with metal that start to leak, if it was installed correctly, are of an age where the profile begins to be not obsolete, but what am I trying to say? It's like outdated. It's discontinued. And so if the panel style is discontinued, and I found here at a base out in Astoria was that you could have a near close corrugation style in the valley, but the width of the panel, 12, 14, 16 inch, 18, may be different slightly by an eighth, a quarter of an inch, and you're never going to get that panel to fit. And so then you have to talk about replacement of that entire area or the roof because the panel's discontinued itself. And so not too many companies out here, suppliers, like to hold on to the older style panel because from what I understand, again, is that now the newer weather-tight style warranties with kinder finishes, in order to have those proper warranties of the newer style coatings on the paint on top of the metal, require inspections of the machine that's popping the panel such that they can warranty the panel as quoted with the Kynar's 40-year plus paint warranty, or in a weather-tight situation where that weather-tight warranty includes both the paint and then everything else like the workmanship. So at least on the commercial side for the weather-tight deal. And for residential, hopefully, most roofs, whether or not you got a good roof within the first 12 months, okay? Going through the Pacific Northwest, you get a lot of precipitation. You know whether or not that roof is flashed properly, if it's going to be leak-free. Generally, the first 12 months, you're going to be free and clear. So we do our complimentary inspections in February because we like to give chocolates. We love our customers. We go out, we make sure everything's performing as it should be. We make recommendations about their maintenance based on the levels around the trees and everything. We take a look at the gutters in the system, the drainage as a whole, and to just reestablish connection because the customers for us are priceless. And so repairability on the metal is going to be a lot more tied to the panel style, the age of the panel, the age of the system, whether or not it's been discontinued, if it's got a mechanically fastened or a snap block situation, if it's exposed fastener versus hidden fastener. All these different details are going to play into whether or not metal can be repaired versus that replacement consideration. And then on the membrane side of things, more often than not, you see a lot of the manufacturer's date of creation or their fabrication dates are stamped on the membrane itself, so you can see when those accessories, when that membrane was stamped to be manufactured. And on the 60 mil side of a PVC or a TPO, you would see a manufacturer's booked warranty for a standard of about 20 years. Can you make a 20-year membrane last longer? Absolutely. Do membranes last more than 20 years? Absolutely. Do membranes last less than 15 years? Absolutely. Have I ever seen a 30-year 60 mil? 26-year 60 mil stamped is, I think, the oldest I've seen. but it was having leaks, right? This is the reason why we're having this conversation on this roof, is because we're past the manufacturer's recommended date. There were no maintenance records. Maybe there's a transition in the property ownership and no one either gave those records over, or people had different investment or risk strategies, risk tolerances, and at that point, the roofing system was neglected, okay? And so just based on a couple different factors on the commercial side, you could have different RTU, rooftop unit, or HVAC maintenance schedules, and or you could have different building purposes that may require different roofing activities that would modify for industrial applications how often you're going to need to go up on the roof, which can expose the roof to more risks of penetrations and pokes. If you have any of that stuff with your HVAC vendor, you should probably consider having a roofer stop by after the maintenance of the HVAC to make sure they're not poking holes accidentally, dropping a tool in the membrane, not saying anything, and that's how you get targeted leaks to happen. And they may not show right away. It may take years for something like that to soak through. But then by the time it does show, you've got an issue that'll cost you 10, 20x because of the magnitude of what happens during saturation process in membrane roofs versus having just had an inspection done after the maintenance of the HVAC, okay? So your foot traffic on the roof is going to mean something, and then you should probably consider walk pads if you got some excessive amount of foot traffic up there, if you have an excessive amount of RTUs, etc. Like look at the top of what some of these grocery stores have for refrigeration AC units, to keep people cool or refrigeration good running during the summertime. Like there's quite a bit of maintenance that needs to happen both seasonally, both in the fall and the spring, to make sure things are blowing properly for heating and cooling. So I have a low-key interest in eventually integrating HVAC services into flow roofing at some point. There's a company actually down in Florida that I look up to, 50-year company that has in-house HVAC services, and I think that's the smartest damn move that any commercial roofer could ever think of, because then you can have a holistic solution for your clients on the roof that allows you to serve them without needing to be a piece in the puzzle for something that could otherwise be one-time stop, just a one-time scheduled stop. So that being said, membrane on the residential, so there's so much that goes into membrane, but you have different membrane styles. You have mop it, you have hot mops, you got the TPO, the PVCs, you have the keys, you have ballast systems and EDPMs, and which are the rubber roofs. We don't deal with EDPMs. I don't have any interest in rubber roofs. Ballast systems with rubber roofs are a little harder to repair. You can do it, but you should probably find an EDPM specific rubber roof installer. And I don't make any claims that Flow is a EDPM specialist whatsoever. We've repaired a couple over the years only because it wasn't ballast, and you can generally do the research on this on the product that works properly for it, and it acts similar in its installation process to a membrane roof, but it's obviously a different material because it's rubber based. So on the residential flat roof side, you see a lot of more of this on like a garage situation in northeast southeast Vancouver area, where you have these flat garages, or perhaps like an awning on the house addition, or like a flat dormer sometimes. Now I'm trying to remember the name of the architect that built it's Rummer, which surprised me that I remembered. It's a Rummer build, and there's a bunch of these Rummers. I think like Mr. Rummer actually passed away recently, because there's a builder recently, I believe, that named their company Rummer Homes or something after Mr. Rummer because of the architecture of his buildings, which are typically flat roofs. And so there's another architect that has these homes spread throughout the country who's ultra famous. I can't remember his name, that has a lot of flat roof architecture as well. And so with flat roofs in residential, I think residential has more of a foliage exposure than a lot of commercial buildings, because a lot of commercial buildings, one, are going to be taller, but then residential, you like to be tucked in the forest, you want some cozy, quiet spot. You're going to have a lot more maintenance requirements on the residential side. I think that age things, but you're going to have less foot traffic on there because you don't have as many requirements to go on the roof other than just making sure it's clean. And then the architecture of how you would insulate most of those older buildings is through the inside of the trusses of the interior of residential, whereas most commercial is done on top of the decking. And so with that, you have a different airflow ventilation style in residential versus commercial. So the decking types can vary a lot. You're not going to see many concrete or steel decks in residential as you would in the commercial space. But for the repairability of membranes on both residential and commercial, we always look to the maintenance records. Like, has this person even taken care of the roof before I even go on there? Like, you're asking, do you have any maintenance records you can recall or provide? And at that point, you can assess the likelihood that that roof could potentially have issues, some saturation, or some targeted preventative needs. And so we'll go over a couple other things in a different video around the difference between a preventative option versus like a restorative repair in the commercial space. But that being said, membranes can be repaired to a point. We've tried to repair some brittle ass PVC, and you step on it and it cracks like a potato chip. Like the fiberglass between the plasticizer sections of the membrane literally just ripped right through. Sounded like potato chip. I'm like, oh snap! Like, look at how brittle this roof was, and that was a 26-year-old roof actually, and it was like there was no maintenance that would ever bring that bad boy back to life. And so then you have to build out your proposals and your documentation to properly educate people about why you're kind of past the point of no return. So next question, believe it or not, that was the first one. We have 10. What causes roof leaks even when shingles or membrane look fine? And I wished that we didn't have to answer the membrane looks fine section here, but I think a lot of what this question points to is what causes roof leaks when the system is okay. It's going to be, we'll give you a pause here. What's your brain thinking? Workmanship, hopefully. So you have a good product. It's less than 10 years old. The paint's fine. It's not dirty. It was just installed less than a decade ago, but we're having issues. What's going on? Couple things. Less likely here in the Northwest, it could be relating to an act of God. It could be a tree branch. It could have been a penetration on a commercial system. It could have been someone that was doing maintenance that dropped a tool. We talked about then on the residential side, again, you could have like a maintenance, you could have act of God, an issue there. But more than likely on both those cases, residential, commercial, a lot of what can happen that would create an issue that's not relating to product aging out is going to be always due to poor workmanship or a neglect to the detail of the system. And so, I always tell people you can have the best damn product, you can have the fanciest damn tires you can have on your vehicle. If you're not going to do the oil changes to take care of the product, the damn car is going to fall apart. So, same thing with roofs, but a little more in the weeds of it is like you can have the best product, you can have the best panel, you can have the best warranties, etc. I always say the best warranty is the warranty you never need. But for roofing in particular, Workmanship is the best insurance policy, okay? And for us, we take it super seriously. That's why we bring all these installs now in-house. We've got a process that we're going to teach you guys a little more of in a separate video that we've made incredible strides on to make sure that we can install a system that the client feels they deserve, on top of the warranties they're purchasing, on top of the guarantees we're providing, okay? Which it's top secret, can't share it just yet. So I'm stoked. We're going to be rocking and rolling with it March 1st. Goodness, it's coming up so quick. It's February 7th. Super Bowl's coming up tomorrow. Not really into anything but the commercials, but go home and see the family. And that being said, workmanship is a major issue for why any normal looking roof may have an issue. Now, does that mean it needs to be replaced? That is up to the company you're calling. And it's also you as a property owner to really gauge, what is my risk tolerance here? What does this property mean to me? Do I have a bunch of money to blow? Should I risk it for the biscuit if there's one issue relating to workmanship? Is there more? Okay. We've found both cases to be true. Sometimes it could be just an honest mistake that someone walked over or missed something without checking or doing a final walk before they left. We've also found whole system failures with consistent errors throughout. As a company trying to warranty your roof in a repair situation, if I'm finding multiple issues, I am more than likely going to say the whole thing needs to be replaced, because the fact that I want you to be protected and I want you to so if there's ever been a return trip, the trust factor and the respect drops, okay? If you don't fix it the first time, are you truly the professional, okay? So with that, if you're trying to provide the best experience for your client, you need to identify these issues the first time round. Finding more issues is a lack of attention to detail. Okay, so this is where the professionalism of the industry comes in. This is what I train my guys on and my ladies to focus and double down on, is making sure that the details are correct. Measure twice, cut once. Okay, so with that, if I find an issue and it's targeted to one area, this is on like a retail request. So you call in or you email in, you have a request and you just want someone to come take a look at it. You want to see what it's going to cost. Find one issue and it's located in one area, then it's no big deal. We'll go ahead and give you a competitive a bid on what we think what it would take to get this thing back up and flowing with a warranty. And at that point, you can continue on and relax with the knowledge that you're going to be able to maximize that ROI. And we'll give you recommendations. On top of that, you start to see issues after that 15-year mark on the steep slope shingle side of things, where maybe a cheap pipe collar from your original install or the builder grade roof that you purchased from the new house you have cracked, and you just needed to have someone come in and take a look in the fall before the rains come to make sure that you're ready for the winter, but you didn't. So then you have someone coming out to take a look at the leak, and you got a stain and a bubble in your attic, and you got to deal with some drywall repairs, and that just took like a $400 to $800 repair, and you just had to double that because now you got to pay the drywall patch guy to come in and to do the interior touch up. So it's groceries for a month, okay? I don't know about you guys, but I like to eat. So I would rather be preventative in the way that we take care of our trucks. We do our consistent maintenance to make sure that we can go and service your properties without having any issues from the beginning. I wanted to have a truck that allowed me to go to a property the first time and not be the contractor that made excuses around, my truck's out of gas, or I got a fucking flat tire. We've had dozens of flat tires over the years. Drives you crazy. You never know what's going to happen. Happens at the best time and the worst time, right? That's exactly what the universe likes to do. So, that being said, the roof leaks when the membrane and the shingles or the metal looks fine. Typically, again, you have the best product. Comes down to the workmanship, and you can go a little bit further downstream and say, well, I got the best system, and they everything's fine, but actually you can take it down to how is their flashing detail around the system? Is the flashing that's associated with the penetrations that have the most common quantities of statistical quantities of leaks come from penetrations in roofing. So if you focus around a penetration, you got a bathroom leak, you got a kitchen leak, it's likely going to be a fan or a flapper or a pipe boot that's having that issue. So with the likelihood that the workmanship was not done right around those areas. Now example I just gave you was a aging effect, but if it wasn't flashed properly around your chimney or a roof to wall section or your step flashing in a steep slope situation, or counter flashed around a roof to wall or parapet or your cap metal, or you didn't properly crimp, or and God forbid you get a metal roof and you don't crimp your eaves or your valleys to do a hook detail for an enclosed system, if the flashing is not done right, which is an extension of workmanship, then you're going to run into those issues. Okay. So as if we are on the same level here. I like to treat my clients as engineers, okay? Which is counter to what Alex Hormozy says, because Alex is like, dumb everything down to a third grade level. I think that's a little disrespectful for someone that's like worked super hard to get the asset that they're in, and then they invite us out. They want professional advice. I'm not going to sit here and like pretend to talk to an old boomer who's like literally maybe went through an engineering degree and served in wars to say like, well, sir, do you know that your nails are I'm not going to do that. Okay, I want to be on their level and talk to them, look them in the eye and tell them, like, this is exactly what you're having issues with. This is exactly a way to fix it, okay? And this is exactly what it's going to cost. And this is the worst case scenarios in case something else comes up, right? We'll go over more of that detail, too, around what the inspection process looks like. I already covered it in previous videos, but it's changing as we continue to flow on the daily. And so, next question, number 3. How long should a roof last in the Pacific Northwest? Great question. Thank you for asking. So, different systems and different roofs, different products all have different life expectancies. Let's just put one denominator as a consistent on this question so that way we can say you're the perfect client. You love to take care, or let's just say you take care of your car because you love it. It takes care of your family. Let's call it the Toyota Sienna family minivan, okay? You jump in the Yoda. You love your family. You love your car because you get to have like the world-class memories of road trips and all the things that come with it. You take care of that Toyota. You change the oil on time every time. You love your family. You love your Toyota. You love to take care of your car because it takes care of you. You change your oil on time every time. So the consistent denominator of this question is that the maintenance of your roof is taken care of with annual inspections perfectly. You always clean your gutters on time. You never have any issues. Every system, TPO, metal, and membrane, okay? Or shingles. Now I know you take care of your system perfectly every time. I can give you accurate numbers on what system lasts how much and how long. Let's start at the bottom. A 3-tab asphalt shingle. Old school Home Depot roof, okay? Everyone used to get them. They put them on the sheds. You see them around once in a while. Hard to get the product anymore. I don't know where you get it. I would never install it. But it's a 15 to 20-year product at the higher end. I will say I've seen 3-tab roofs leak-free 25 plus years old. And the homeowner's like, yeah, I installed it. I'm like, cool. You're the anomaly. You might have got lucky. I'm glad you don't live in the forest. I'm glad you don't live a little bit higher. I'm glad you don't live on the coast. So 3-tab, 15 to 20 years. And if you're taking care of it right, you're at the 20-year mark, you're going to see that the tabs are breaking off. You're going to see the fiberglass showing. You're going to see some of the granules be gone. You're playing with fire at 20 years on a 3-tab. So then architectural, and that 3-tab is going to be probably like 150 pounds a square or less, which is basically the raw weight of the product. If you were to like look at the product as bundles, then you're going to be lifting about 150 pounds of product in those bundles to cover a square or 100 square feet of roofing. So the roofing industry breaks up 100 square feet and they call it a square, short-term lingo. And at that point, higher-end products start to add weight. But let's not confuse added weight for added lifespan. Again, you can have bad workmanship show, and you can have a, quote, 50-year roof, not even make it to 5, okay? So we're going to have a separate talk, it's question 9, about the lifetime 50-year warranty, and I've got some strong opinions, strongly held, about all that. So, again, like, I had a similar conversation like this across the table with one of my best buddies' dads, and he was getting so he lives like 3 hours away. We're back at our hometown. He's like, yeah, my buddy's going to be doing the roof, and I trust him and everything, and he's sweating the cost and everything, and I'm trying to help him understand everything too, that, if he's a true friend, he's an actual roofer, he should provide a warranty. He should stand by his work. That's standard industry in the roof, standard for the roofing industry. And so a lot of how I'm talking to you right now is how I was presenting everything that I know about roofing to him. Because, like, my best buddy since kindergarten, and then we went and we graduated and walked together at Oregon State. We were roommates and stuff. So this guy's like my second dad, and so I'm like, Jerry, come on, like this is what you need to know and understand when it comes to your roof. How long should your roof last? Okay, so let's just get through shingles. Let's get through metal. Let's bust the fucking question out. I like to ramble. Okay, 1 cup of coffee. Going to the gym here after this, and then go home and see the fam. So then, shingles are going to be at the lower end of the product quality scale based on the weight, typically associated with a little more lifespan, but not always. You got your 15 to 20 year 3-tab. Your architectural is going to range from about a 225 or 215 pound on the cheap end, probably to, let's just bundle in kind of the more designer single laminate architectural, you're to 275 per square. And I can speak more strongly to all the Malarkey lines because we're a Malarkey company right now. So the 215 to the 275 line, you're typically going to get that 25, maybe 30-year bump on the product. And again, if you have good maintenance, okay? And then so on the designer line, you start to go 315 to 355. And on the triple laminate side, these designer products I think are a little too excessive in the product side of things. It's not that they're going to last any longer, but the weight says they should 455 per square or higher. It's called a triple laminate because of a thick ass product, okay? That is supposed to last longer, but again, those products I try to tell people, like, don't do it. Go for a double laminate if you have to have it. If your HOA is going to say anything, go for a Malarkey Windsor or the Presidential Shake. If you have to, don't do the TL, okay, peoples? I know that the manufacturer probably wouldn't like to hear me say that, but like I'm trying to be real with you guys. Like, save your damn money. Don't do it. The product is only as good as the granules on top, okay? When the granules go, that product's going to age out, and you're going to be like, well, shit, this is my forever home. I was told I was going to get 50 years, and I got 30 years out of this 50-year roof. What's going on? And that's likely because the product's only as good as the granules on top. Below the granules, guess what? That's your asphalt that holds on to the granules. The asphalt that holds on to the granules matters as too. This is why we go with Malarkey, because it's the best, okay? The asphalt in Malarkey is next to nothing compared to, it's everything compared to all the different manufacturers because they invested early on from the beginning, starting in the 1950s. They're going to upcycle rubber and plastic into the asphalt. Increased UV resistance. UV resistance and flexibility made the product last longer. With that flexibility and that adhered nature with the UV resistance of the plastic and the rubber in the landfills, not only is it obviously sustainable, getting a little fired up here, holds on to a granule longer. And then Malarkey says, hey, it's not enough. Let's go ahead and like sprinkle in some smog reducing granules. It's like plant a tree on the fucking roof, okay? Malarkey. So a roof with Malarkey at the standard level, you'll get 30 years out of that Vista line. If you optimize the ventilation, you'll get more. If you want to see the true lifespan of any manufacturer's product, look to their commercial warranties. Why? Because that's where the buy and hold assets or the think about a church. You ever seen a church go up for sale? Not very often, right? So, like, those assets to the owners are not going to turn over ownership very often. So the manufacturers all know this, and they'd say, well, I'm not going to warranty the roof for that long. It's never going to change hands. Like, what's the actual lifespan of my product? I'm going to warranty for 20 or 30 years, right? So can you get a membrane roof to last 30 years? Yes, they offer 80 mils that last 30 on the NDLs, and so you can do an 80 mil membrane roof to make it last for 30. On the metal side, the best paint warranties are warranted for 40 years. Can you get that product to last 75 plus? Probably. I've never seen a 75-year-old metal roof, though. I can't tell you. So with that being said, a shingle will vary between 20 and 30 on its functional lifespan. I've seen a 35-year-old shingle roof. It didn't look too healthy. The owner knew it too. There might have been some issues. Will a heavier product last longer? No, because the granules will likely fall off. It'll age, the tabs will break, and the thing will leak before it hits a 40-year-old. Guaranteed, okay? I've seen 25-year-old multiple laminate product look like it was 50 goddamn years old, okay? And I show the pictures to the property owners. I'm not like, look, I'm just telling you here, like, look at what I'm seeing, okay? I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. So, are roof repairs permanent or just temporary fixes? Question 4. We'll try to get through this one quick. Roof repairs should be permanent. Can roof repairs be temporary? Yes. Can you patch something to get by? Yes. That's not as strong as the original system? Yes. In the membrane side of things, you see an open seam. Can you seal it? Yes. Can you put a T-patch over it and weld it for more of a permanent fix? Yes. If you got a target repair on a flat roof in a commercial situation, you have an RTU or you have an R value on the interior, then that repair can be a strong point in the system because it's been overbuilt to last versus the rest of the system. Think of like a mountain. It's like the peak, right? Everything's like aging around it as its gravity's pulling it down. That repair is going to be a strong point. We try to do the same thing in steep slope. We want to create a strong point in the roof so we don't have to come back. We want to make sure that that's always going to be the longest lasting aspect of the roof. And the guy who tears off the roof is going to be like, damn, that's a nice repair because that thing lasts longer than the rest of the system. So roof repairs, when warranted, are meant to be permanent. Are roof repairs, can they be just temporary? Yes. Temporary in the fact that, holy shit, it's not the right time to do the replacement because it's dead of winter or it's like freezing conditions, but can we stop the bleeding and just make it through to get by till the season comes through? Yes. Temporary fixes are a part of the roofing industry. Permanent repairs are a part of the industry. Are there different levels to repairs? Yes. So there's what we call prescribed repairs, obviously. But then we also have what's called a minimum viable solution. So as I'm looking to my client and say, well, what do you like here? What do you want to do? You know, obviously you wouldn't want to spend money. No one does. It's like, what do we have here? It's not the right time of the season. You got a flat roof, you got a big building or something that needs to be done, but we can't have leaks coming in on your clients. We can't have leaks coming in on your product. You got to do a temporary fix until you do more of a permanent solution. Whether that permanent solution is going to be a repair when the weather allows, or if it's going to be a permanent repair between the clouds, it depends on the scope of the repair. Not every repair is the same. Every system's different. Every building's different. Every building owner or building manager has different value-based decision-making principles, different risk tolerances. They don't want you to waste their budget, okay? So you want to get in there and do it. But I'll tell you right now, sometimes the minimum viable solution approach isn't necessarily the maximum peace of mind approach, okay? Roofing is inherently kind of like a hidden trade because you can't see the system necessarily. Same with siding, I guess, or, you know, even I can't even see the insulation behind the wall, but I could tell you right now that, like, if there was rot happening visually, that likely there's going to be issues that need to be addressed because you can actually see it, but there's things that happen behind that where that is unseen. So then you have these unforeseen circumstances that you have to be prepared for. So you should have hopefully a good roofer that's going to be able to walk you through what the possible unforeseen circumstances could be, so you can understand what the worst case scenario is going to be, so you can have the best shot at trying to understand what you're getting into. So that's where experience comes in, and that's what we try to train for here at Flow. That was question number 4. Question number 5. How often should commercial or HOA roofs be inspected? Seasonally, at a minimum, annually. On the flat roof side of things, it's required in the warranty documentation of your membrane warranties across the board, across the industry. You need to provide annual maintenance inspection reports so that I have an idea as a manufacturer, I'm talking from the manufacturer perspective, that you are taking care of the system. Think about it if like Ford or Chevy or something was going to give you your powertrain warranty, but I don't know the powertrain warranties like by heart, but like you're not going to cover that powertrain warranty if they neglect their oil change obligations, right? Same thing with roofs. If you can't have the respect of your property's well-being, I didn't say that right, at the top of mind, then you will likely have leaks because you are telling the universe that I don't care about my roof. And it's going to show you right back that you're probably going to have a leak. So annual maintenance records in the Pacific Northwest, annual maintenance inspections are what we preach here. In storm markets, it's recommended, from what I understand, every storm should have an inspection after the fact. I hate insurance. I don't like insurance. We're almost full retail here. We like taking organic requests. Insurance is messy. I don't like the paperwork at all. And so I know the team doesn't either. So how often? Annually, seasonally at best. And we have clients that are on maintenance programs that have extreme tree cover in their portfolio, where it's like, I want you to come out and do moss treatment and gutter cleaning in the fall. I want you to come back out and do gutter cleaning in the spring. Okay, blow off the roofs, make sure we're good for the spring and the summer. I want to make sure my downspouts are flowing, everything's good, we're on the same level. Okay, great understanding, quality individual with a good mindset of taking care of their assets. What is the biggest mistake a property owner makes with roofing? This was not a question I was prepared to answer. What's the biggest mistake property owners make with roofing? I think from a contractor's perspective, and everyone might agree publicly, that going with the lowest bid is the worst idea when it comes to roofing. And in life, there's a common understanding on the streets where you get what you pay for. Okay? So Flow's not the cheapest system. Flow's not the cheapest company. Why? Because we invest in the training and the infrastructure to make sure we can support your system and the installation quality control throughout the process. With full-time on-site project managers, how can we make sure that we don't have any issues so we can be done with that? We can crack a glass of wine and or share a cigar after the fact, and you're off to the races. You can live your life. You're off into the sunset. You don't have to worry about your roof. You're going with the flow. Your Flowasis is protected. You can go on vacation, not have to worry about anything happening. Your portfolio's protected. Your renters are cool. Everyone's happy. They went with the flow. So the biggest mistake, what are the top three? The biggest one, going with the cheapest. Probably the second biggest one, going with the cheap product. Number three, this is maybe just what came up to the top of mind. I don't know if it's top three, but like maybe trying to repair something too much that should have been replaced in the first place. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So cheap property owners actually really trying to penny pinch and go with the minimum viable solution, finding that this system in the commercial side of things, I've learned from the School of Hard Knocks that you can't coat a system that has saturation in the ISO, because the coating that you're applying will blow up like a balloon from the pressures of the water evaporating on the inside. You would think that's obvious, right? This is how you learn to do a core sample in your commercial journey, okay? And so as you're going through and you're giving your anecdotal experiences around this to property owners that need to know what's going on with their property, you're reflecting on the fact that you're protecting them from your mistakes by providing them the experience of the expertise that you know is going to work, okay? Why is gutter performance, this is number 7, why is gutter performance critical to roof longevity? AI created this question list, and I don't think gutter performance in the Northwest inhibits roof longevity as much as you would think, because we don't get a lot of ice dams. Now, I will say if you're in a high desert kind of situation, or you have ice damming at all, that gutter performance does matter to longevity, because at that point then you could have a clogged gutter create an ice dam easier. But we don't get a lot of ice dams here in the Northwest, so I don't think this question is ideal. But roof longevity and gutter performance, I see why they tried to tie it together, but roof longevity is kind of separate from gutter longevity, because you can do a gutter cleaning separate from your roof cleanings and have them be on different schedules if that's the way you like to do it. And at that point, your roof has kind of got a separate performance factor from your gutters because they're not necessarily connected. I will say, though, that if your roofing system is not properly flashed, it can hinder how your gutter performs, because maybe you don't have proper roofing flashing to tie in how that gutter apron is supposed to help drip water or drip edge into the gutter system and get it downhill. So, do aluminum gutters really last longer than steel gutters? 100%. There is no refuting that whatsoever. Steel is a ferrous metal, contains iron. Iron has a novel experience with oxidation that we all call rust. It's the breakdown of the steel itself, and aluminum does not rust because it doesn't contain iron. And so that alone creates a longer lasting system. So with that, you can increase the gauge as well, and it will last further longer, have more rigidity. And again, though, with gutters, the system can be a high quality product. You can get yourself a goddamn stainless steel system if you're on the coast. You can get yourself an aluminum system on the coast. You can get yourself a thicker quality product. You can get yourself copper. You can go with steel. Thicker doesn't mean better. The material itself will oftentimes matter. Nowadays, you can also get Kiner coated gutters. So it's like having a metal roof system panel on your eaves, which allow you to have a color matching aesthetic. Will that product last longer than normal steel? Absolutely. But will it last as long as aluminum? Depends on how well it's installed. So how about the warranties? Steel doesn't typically come with any warranties. Your workmanship warranty on gutters is typically going to be less than 10 years. There's some companies do lifetime out there. We do lifetime offerings on our gutters as well, workmanship and product. And so aluminum gutters always last longer, but it always comes down to how well the system was installed. How well was it built? Did they build it with every tail, or did they build it every other tail? Did they skip it? They go 3 or 4 feet on the tail. How do they reinforce their miters? Do they hand cut their miters? Do they use tabs, or do they use miter strips? We all have sheet metal guys in-house here at Flow. We do tabs cut on site. Every system is custom to the home, matched and measured down to the 32nd of an inch. What does a lifetime warranty actually mean for roofing or gutters? This was the one I wanted to get to. It's a touchy subject. Lifetime warranties on workmanship mean something because they're as good as the company is in business for. You don't see lifetime workmanships very often. We offer these because it's kind of a confidence factor that I know that we're going to stand by all of our work no matter what. Lifetime product warranties, though, on the steep slope side of shingles here, it's becoming a stronger belief, and I'm a part of this, that in the industry, lifetime product warranties are a scam. Dun dun dun. Lifetime product warranties on the steep slope side of shingles in the industry, and every manufacturer is damn near, I think, on board with this in a bad way, is that they know that homeownership average turnover is about 8 to 12 years on average, depending on where you're at in the regions. And with that, they know, and this is what I try to tell my property people, is like, the 50 years is bullshit, don't worry about it, okay? But they know that they're never going to have to honor a 50-year warranty because that home is like going to turn over once or twice in a 50-year period, and their warranty is only good for a one-time transfer. So it's because one manufacturer, we don't know who, started the stupid 50-year deal. And get this, the 50-year deal is not only a scam to the homeowner, but it's a scam to us contractors because we want you to get the best warranty, and we can't sell the best warranty because you all think that 50 years is the best warranty. It's a scam to the contractor because their warranties are tied to the amount of product, a matching product, that is installed to get the better warranty. Which means that if you don't buy all of our shit and put it on your roof, and it may not even be better than what you can buy third party or separately, then we're not going to provide you a 50-year warranty, okay? We've found that the malarkey warranties are the most fair in the industry, okay? Best performing, fairest warranties. I had a claim come up same day, installer said, hey, you've got a product defect, come out, take a look. Said, sure as shit, half the roof, we'd already installed it, we tore it off and redid it. Malarkey provided shingles, had it on the roof the next day. Kudos to the supplier too. ABC caught us on that one. That's the kind of workmanship and product warranty you want, okay? Peace of mind. The best roofing warranty in existence is quality workmanship from the beginning. Trained installations with systems reproduced daily. You install these systems frequently so that way they're practiced and normal. There's no my house is custom. How are you going to do my roof? Does it not still need to be flashed properly? Does a nail not still need to hold down the shingle? Just because it's a little bit steeper, just because you got some extra skylights, just because you got a couple extra valleys, doesn't necessarily mean that shingle shouldn't be installed exactly the same way as a ranch-style single family in the suburbs. We approach roofing and installations the same, whether it's a $50,000 single wide, a $500,000 suburbia, and or a $5 million custom build. The shingle is installed the exact same way. And that goes to say even further, that shingle is installed the same way on a $50 million asset in the portfolio. So it doesn't matter. The product's installed the same way regardless. There are standard installation protocols for every single situation, whether it's the counter flashing, whether it's the crickets, whether it's the skylights, the valleys, everything is standardized. Now, I will say, we have the benefit of bringing a generous amount of commercial experience to our residential clients. And with that, we get to see the highest specifications. And I love this because Nick just got an opportunity here for a huge targeted repair that's coming in. We're signing on Monday, it sounds like, where the targeted repair allows us to witness what was not done right on a building less than 20 years old and come in and do it textbook and prescribed. Okay, it's an honor to be able to do and have the opportunity to go in and fix this roof. We love the ability to showcase what we can do in-house, self-performed, self-supervised. That's how we flow. That's how we grow. So, last question. Lifetime warranties are bullshit and the steep slope side of things. Don't do it, okay? We're actually considering doing an in-house warranty. Some of the people already, the best people in the country already do it. I like what they're doing. We want to do that. We're waiting until we get big enough. We're going to do it. So, how does regular maintenance save money on roofing and gutters? You guys should be on this question. You're my audience. You've been studying. You've been listening this whole goddamn hour. How does regular maintenance save money on the roof? I already said it. I've given you the answer. You know this. Do I even need to say it? Regular maintenance saves money on roofing and gutters. Just like changing the oil in your car does. Good things taken care of last. In the universe, I say you get out what you put in. It's not a scratch your back, I scratch it. Your roof don't scratch your back. It protects your fam, okay? Regular maintenance on roofs and gutters make your roof last longer because a clean roof lets water flow unobstructed in a way that doesn't let it splash, doesn't let it ice dam, doesn't let it wick or freeze in a way that lets it go straight down to the gutters, straight down to the downspout into the river, okay? Regular maintenance is the single biggest reason why any roofing system doesn't last. Without good maintenance, it doesn't matter. That's my 2 cents. I'm going to go work out. It's noon. Appreciate you holding it down. Keep optimizing your Flowasis. If you think you need help, someone on the team here can give you a hand. Always right now, our biggest thing, I'm kind of anti-AI, even though I used AI to make these questions, in the way that I'm so proud of every one of our office people who have jumped into the receptionist role. We graduate our receptionists because it is a incredible responsibility to onboard a customer properly and an honor to have the call whatsoever. And investing in the receptionist position is my it took discipline because I was like, oh, you know, I don't want to answer. We need a receptionist. We can use AI. The receptionist allows the humanity to ring from Flow Roofing in a way that aligns with the way I feel like my clients deserve a roofing experience. Don't let your roofing company be cheap with you. If you got a question, they should answer it. If you got a request, they should be there for you. So anyway, enjoy your weekend. Go Seahawks. West Coast is the best coast. Happy 2026. I'm going to start releasing a little more of this content here. Got a lot of things to share. Got a lot of things to work on. Got no time. So I'll catch you guys later. Ciao.